If you listened from the beginning, you already know this wasn't a normal series. We didn't chase ghosts. We didn't hunt monsters. We didn't ask what scares us. We asked something deeper. What happens before death arrives? What happens when we cross it? What follows us back? What can science explain? And what refuses to be explained? And why do people across cultures, centuries, and continents tell the same story using different words? Tonight, we don't introduce a new mystery. Tonight, we step back and look at the path we walked together, because every season of Half Haunted Chronicles was never meant to stand alone. They were meant to form one long crossing. I'm Candy, and this is Half Haunted Chronicles. We begin where most stories end, at bedside, in the quiet hours, in the moment when people stop talking to us, and start talking to someone else. Season 1 was about signs, the dreams, the visions, the sudden clarity, the loved ones who appeared right before the final breath. We learned that death doesn't always arrive as fear. Sometimes it arrives as recognition, a familiar voice, a familiar face, a feeling of being met. And for me, this season was personal. I held my father's hand as he took his final breath and felt the cool breeze pass through me, upward and certain. At the same moment, miles away, my mother watched a scarf fall from a light in her hotel room. A touch, a signal, a goodbye that crossed distance. Season 1 taught us something important. The threshold is real, and some people see it opening before they ever leave. When we stepped into the moment itself, the crossing, the point where the body stops and the consciousness continues, we heard stories of tunnels and rivers, borders and bridges, beings of light and voices without sound. But we also learned that not every crossing looks the same. Some were peaceful, some were terrifying, some were brief, and some were expansive beyond language. Yet the structure remained. Leaving the body, encountering something other, a choice, a review, or a command to return. Season 2 showed us that death is not chaos. It has a shape, it has an order, it has direction, and sometimes it sends you back. Season 3 is where things got heavy, because coming back is harder than dying. We listened to the voices of people who survived death, but didn't come back unchanged. They returned calmer, more honest, less interested in pretending. Some returned with guides, some with watchers, some with quiet presence that never fully left their side. They felt electricity differently, truth differently, life differently, and many felt something else too. The pull, a longing for the peace they felt on the other side, not suicidal, not hopeless, just homesick. Season 3 taught us that survival can be its own haunting, and that some people walk this world with one foot still touching somewhere else. Season 4, we asked the question everyone asks eventually: what if this is all just the brain? Season 4 brought us into operating rooms, hospital corridors, and research labs. We talked about blind patients who described visual events, people who recounted conversations that happened while they were clinically dead, details verified, witnesses confirmed, and suddenly hallucination wasn't enough. Season 4 demanded belief. It demanded honesty. Because when experience leaves evidence, we have to admit something uncomfortable. Consciousness may not end when the brain does. Season 5. Finally, we zoomed out beyond hospitals, beyond modern language, beyond Western frameworks. We listened to indigenous voices from around the world, stories from bone cleaning beings, spirit mothers, ancestor villages, journeys along rivers, ice, stars, and fire, different symbols, different landscapes, the same message: you are taken, you are shown, you are tested, and you are either welcomed or sent back. Season 5 reminded us that near-death experiences are not a modern phenomenon. They are ancient, older than religion, older than medicine, older than written language. They belong to humanity itself. If these 5 seasons taught us anything, it's this: death is not the opposite of life. It is part of it. It doesn't rush. It doesn't chase. It doesn't need to scare us into believing. It waits. And when people cross its border, they don't return with answers about heaven. They return with lessons about living. Be gentler. Be more honest. Love more deeply. Stop wasting time pretending. Pay attention, because whether you cross that line or not, the work is here and the stories aren't finished. This recap isn't the end, it's a resting place, a place to breathe, a place to reflect, to notice what stirred in you as you listened. Because Half Haunted Chronicles was never about death alone, it was about the space between, the moments when the veil thins, the stories that refuse to stay buried, and the quiet truth that none of us are walking this alone. Until next time, stay curious and always, always stay haunted.